April 16th, 2014. This is a quiz show presented to you by the Society for Economic Equality and CTV. It's entitled, That's News to You, Now What Are You Going to Do About It? The quiz show where, if you answer correctly, you win the opportunity to solve all the world's problems. Our guest tonight, Mark Zapotowski, Martha Cooper, Ann Schweitzer. Now, Ann, I heard you're a wife and a mother, and your husband recently retired. What are you doing to deal with having him lounging around the house all day?
I leave the house and I give him a list of things to do.
Excellent advice to all the wives out there with retiring husbands. Yes, thank you, Ann. Now, Mark, you said that you didn't want anyone to know what you do, so what's so disgraceful about it?
I'm an unemployed part-time tenant farmer, so that's pretty disgraceful.
I see. Well, you know you're not going to win any money here tonight. Only the chance to save the world.
It's always the way it is.
Martha, you're an interior decorator,
Yes.
a painter?
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
It's going pretty good. Wrapping up a job right now. Can't wait to get paid.
Yep, that's a story of everyone's life, I think. Can't wait to get paid. Well, this is the qualifying round, and I have a question. Whoever gets that question right gets a chance at answering a question to pick the first topic. Amongst the topics tonight, we have politics, health, rape, money, national security, education, environment, and maybe a couple other things if we have time. I'm Dink Fartin Tail, and I'm your host tonight. The qualifying question is, what percentage of Americans can point to Crimea on a map?
2%.
6%.
6%.
5%.
5%. Mark has a chance at the qualifying question because it is 16% of Americans can find Crimea on a map.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm amazed.
Now, of those who can find Crimea on a map compared to those who cannot find Crimea on a map, who are more likely to favor U.S. military intervention in the Crimea? Those who know or those who are ignorant?
Those who are ignorant.
All right, you get to choose politics, health, rape, money, national security, education.
National security.
National security, national security, national security. What chances that a young Afghan man says he's never heard of 9/11? Mark.
52%.
Martha.
40%.
53%.
And wins. It is actually 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 young Afghan men have never heard of 9/11. 9 out of 10. Okay, so we're still in national security. That's a point for Ann. A point for Ann. Your first here. Percentage change in the number of active anti-federal government groups during President Obama's first term in office. The percentage increase of anti-government groups during Obama's first term of office.
Percentage increase.
Yes, or you could do it as a factor if you prefer.
75.
75% increase. Mark.
700% increase.
700% increase. Do I hear 800? Martha.
I'll go with 800.
800. Martha wins a point for Martha.
Wow.
800% increase in anti-government groups during his first term. The percentage change in anti-government groups since his re-election. Martha.
Percentage change?
Yes, either up or down. What percentage has it gone up or down? Well,
Up.
Guess a percentage.
10%.
Up, since he's been re-elected. Mark.
50% increase since he's been reelected.
51%.
Oh, down 20%. I guess they gave up. Well, let's see, national security.
I thought that meant I get it.
Wasn't working.
National security, national security. Amount in royalties to ban Skinny Puppy is seeking for the use of its music during U.S. military interrogations. How much money does Skinny Puppy want for the U.S. military to use its music to torture people?
Oh, my gosh.
How much money do they want?
1 million.
1 million.
They're willing to give it to the government for free.
$10.
It's hers. They want $666,666. Okay.
That's evil.
National
That is
security,
evil.
national security, national security.
Tongue-in-cheek evil.
National
I
security.
appreciate it, though.
But it's evil to use.
Let's see, everyone's got 1 point now? National security. Percentage of Americans who thought in 2007 the president should focus on foreign policy.
Percentage.
Percentage
People that
of
thought
Americans
should.
who in 2007 thought that the president should focus on foreign policy.
I got 30%.
All right, 30.
10%.
31%.
Was 40%. So that's a point for Mark. That's in 2007. Today, what percentage of Americans think the president should focus on foreign policy?
7%.
7%?
6%.
5%.
Ooh, wow, it's 6%. Point for Ann. Wow. Next question to you.
Tight, Mark.
Percentage of Americans who named the Iraq War the recent event most damaging to America's global reputation. Percentage of Americans who named the Iraq War the recent event most damaging to America's global reputation.
62%.
70%.
43%.
It's 25%.
Wow.
We're all over. Nobody gets a point on that.
A lot of the American people have forgotten about the Iraq War.
Short attention span.
Yeah, short attention span, memory hole, that whole thing.
Let's change
I have
the
a memory.
topic. Let's have a defining question. Percentage of single people who say they cannot define a date. Percentage of single people in America who cannot define a date.
I can define it.
Martha?
90%.
90% cannot define a date.
Whining and dining. 2%.
2% can't define a date.
I don't understand what you mean by date.
Define it.
I guess you're one of that percentage.
Oh, did you say find or define?
Define date.
Oh, define.
Cannot define.
I mean, to me,
date.
it could be a thing hanging in a tree that gets harvested in the Arab world, or, it could be like going out on a date, or it could be like today
I
is the
do believe they're
16th
talking
or the
about going
17th.
out on a date.
See, but that wasn't clear to me. So that's why I couldn't define it.
Well, can you guess what percentage of other Americans can't define it? You're in good company.
60%.
60%? You said 90,
90.
you said 2. Did you want to change that because you didn't understand the question?
No, I'll stick with 2.
Sticking with 2. Mark wins a point. It is 69% of Americans.
It's becoming a dated concept, I think. It's
Okay.
too formal.
Now choose a topic then. Mark, crime and punishment, rape, money, politics, health.
Money.
Money? All right. The topic is money. These are all worth 1 point. Money. Percentage change since 2000 and the average cost of food worldwide. Percentage change since 2000 and the average cost of food worldwide. Average change, either up or down.
120% higher. Up.
I'd say up at 80%.
80%?
I'm going to say 121%.
Ooh, Ann gets the point. It is 123%.
Whoa.
Darn.
Portion of U.S. minimum wage earners who are older than 25. Ann. Portion.
I want to say 65%.
Older than 25?
Minimum wage workers older than 25. Yes, yes. Are we at any call? Let's put the
75%.
phone number up. You can call and
75%.
play with us. Go ahead.
75%.
75%? Okay.
65%.
Well, you said
Older than 25.
60,
I said 65.
I said 65.
65,
Oh.
75?
I'll go down to-
No point for anybody.
right.
50% of minimum wage
That's-
earners are older
I
than
was gonna
25.
say.
That's like
That
most
was-
money,
that's-
money, money,
that's-
money,
that's-
money,
I
money.
was guessing your guess.
Estimated number of homeless people in Greece. Estimated number of homeless people in Greece. And I don't mean greasy homeless people. I mean people in the country.
You mean a number
Greek homeless
or
people.
percentage of the
Right.
population?
So you're going to have to guess
A
the
number.
population
A
and then
number.
guess the...
We are looking for
We're not
a
looking at
number.
percentage, we're looking
We're
at
looking for a
actual.
number, not a percentage.
4,000.
I'm going to say 750,000 homeless people in Greece.
I'm going to say 10,000.
And wins a point. It is 20,000 homeless people in Greece.
Wow.
Mark Zaptowski.
They're doing better than I thought.
In Greece, how many peopleless homes are there? In Greece, how many peopleless homes? Unoccupied homes in Greece.
Well, it's a vacation area, so I'm going to say that there are 127,000 unoccupied homes in Greece
120,000
at any one point because of vacation.
now, as of last month.
I haven't got anything.
Not a guess.
Not even.
126,000.
126,000. What did you say?
127,000.
You said 127?
Yes.
You're right. It's 300,000 empty homes in Greece, and 20,000 homeless people. They could chop those people up and
Oh, jeez.
fill all those houses.
Okay.
Let's see. Money, 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 money.
Ann and I are...
You know,
Got a lot of
come up with some
money.
pretty close
Factor by
guesses
which
here.
the amount of Brayton's own and mortgage debt has increased since 1999. You could say percentage or factor. Factor by which the amount Brighton's owe in mortgage debt has increased since 1999.
Brighton's? Brighton, the town of Brighton? No.
Britain.
Britain's.
British.
Oh, they're having a housing
How much,
crisis.
can you repeat the question one last time?
Forget it. Here, try another question. Maybe a portion of Americans who spend more than half their monthly income on rent. Portion of Americans who spend more than half their monthly income on rent.
70%.
57%.
58%.
25%, no points for anybody.
25%.
Well, we're doing better than...
Money, money, money. Portion of U.S. jobs held by humans today that are at high risk of being automated by 2024. Portion of U.S. jobs held by humans today that are at high risk of being automated by 2024.
20%.
30%.
40%.
You win a point, Martha, a point for Martha.
I can't believe it's 40%.
It's 50%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Money, 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 money.
We got to stop having kids.
Percentage of divorced low-income men who say they wish they had stayed married. Your turn, Martha. 'Cause you got the
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
percentage of divorced low-income men who say they wish they had stayed married.
80%.
81%.
40%.
Point for Mark, it's 53%. You're both over. Of percentage of divorced low-income women who wish they had stayed married. Mark? Percentage of divorced low-income women who wish they had stayed married.
68%.
70%.
12%.
Point for Ann, it's 19%.
They were glad to be rid of them.
I'm up there. with you.
All right.
Let's have a qualifying question. Maximum number of dildos a Texan may legally own. Maximum number of dildos a Texan may legally own.
This is a trick
Who's
question.
in the lead? Martha's behind you. Go first.
No amount.
Zero says-
Unlimited amount.
Martha says 0.
No, she
Unlimited.
just said an
I said
unlimited
unlimited.
amount. No
Oh,
limit.
okay, unlimited.
No limits.
No limits on dildos at Texas.
Oh, I'm going to say the maximum
She doesn't
number...
mean armadillos, I mean dildos. Armadillos.
16.
16? You can own 16. Huh?
1.
1. Another point for Ann. The legal limit of dildos in Texas is 5. The freedom states. But I mean, how many orifices do you have? So how many do you need?
Oh, no way! Jeez.
Okay, Ann gets to choose. What have we done? We've done national security and money.
I thought it
We
was a
have
trick
education,
question. It's probably
politics, health,
unlimited number,
and
yeah.
rape.
Health. Health.
Health? Okay, you get the first question here. Health. Percentage of uninsured Democrats who say they will pay a fine rather than buy health insurance under Obamacare. Percentage of uninsured Democrats who would rather pay a fine. We have a caller.
I'm going to say
50%.
that healthy males, I'd say 4%.
4%. Let us finish this question, Matt, then we'll get to you.
50%?
50%?
I forgot the question.
Percentage of uninsured Democrats who say they will pay a fine rather than buy health insurance under Obamacare.
20%.
20%, what'd you say?
4.
4%.
50.
Okay, another point for Ann. It is 15%. You were all over. Matt, you're on the phone. Are you here to play on our game?
Yeah, we're just watching you. This is Matt, Lou, and Danny.
Okay, Matt, you're going to get the first chance at this next question. Okay, the next question, this is concerning health. The percentage of uninsured Republicans who say they will rather pay a fine than buy insurance under Obamacare. Percentage of uninsured Republicans who will pay a fine rather than buy insurance under Obamacare. Pat, can we have your
Can I
answer?
consult my committee?
What do you say?
He wants
He
to
wants to
consult
consult
his
his committee.
It's a call for.
Okay, we'll come back to you.
Sorry.
70%? Martha?
80%.
80%?
75%.
75%? Matt, you got an answer?
Yeah, 75%.
No, you're all over
Gotta be high.
45% of uninsured Republicans will refuse to buy insurance under Obamacare.
Unless there are other Republicans listening to their answer at the time.
Pardon?
It must be a secret
We
ballot,
have-
secret,
Is
must
there-
be
is there-
confidentiality, because I know a lot more of them say that they're going to go and take the fine rather than participate in communist Obamacare.
I see. Estimated per capita amount the federal government spends on programs for children each year. This is a health question.
Which one?
How much does the federal government spend per capita on children's programs per year? How much money for each child does the federal government spend? Matt? Mark?
$750.
$1,000.
$400.
Matt?
I'm getting an echo. I didn't hear it clearly all the way.
The question is, how much money per capita did the federal government spend on children's programs last year?
Per kid.
Total.
Yeah, per
For
decade.
healthcare?
Total programs, education, health, whatever.
Yep.
What's your guess per capita for a kid in the U.S.?
To $2,500 per kid.
Well, that's a point for Matt. All right, Matt. That's $3,822. How much per capita did the federal government spend on programs for the elderly? Per capita spending by the federal government on the elderly. Elderly. This doesn't include Social Security. Programs for the elderly.
Per person.
Per person.
$1,200 per person.
3,400.
Matt, you got an answer?
4,300.
Martha?
I was going to say 10,000.
It's Martha's $25,555. So basically,
It's not.
about
it's not cheap
seven
to
times
be
as
old.
much as they
Yeah, but
spend on
what's the
children.
government?
No, children don't vote.
You know,
Children don't vote.
Medicare,
Percentage change in the past decade in the suicide rate of U.S. men in their 50s. Percentage change, Matt, percentage change suicide rate of American men in their 50s over the last 10 years. Percentage change
So,
suicide rate
Is
men
it
in
the
their
50s
50s.
to right now?
Yeah.
over the past 10 years.
What's the percentage change over the past 10 years in the suicide rate for men in their 50s?
Has to be maybe 60%.
Up, down?
You tell me, the percentage
Increase.
change,
I want to say 35%.
up or down?
Up.
I'm going to say a 610% increase upward over the past 10 years.
I'm gonna say 100% increase.
What did you say?
I said 35%.
Another point for Ann, it is 49% increase in the suicide rate.
It's really bad. Or more drugs.
That's true.
Okay, here's a health question. Percentage change since 2002 and the number of Americans addicted to
We
heroin.
have skewed.
Percentage change, Matt, percentage change in addiction rate to heroin in America.
Americans addicted to heroin since 2000.
I
And
want to say 70% down.
70% down, huh?
Up.
I'm gonna say 20% up.
Since what time?
2002. Past 5 years.
I'm going to say that it is a 90% increase up.
Matt, you got a guess?
45%. We're going with 45.
Okay, Mark has got this point. It's a 118% increase in heroin addiction. 118% in heroin addiction, really hitting the rural areas these days. Came in on the wave of overprescribed painkillers.
Also, rather than having hillbilly heroin, they started having real heroin
Yeah.
because they liked hillbilly.
No, because they couldn't get the,
They couldn't get the hillbilly.
right.
No oxycontin.
That's,
Okay, let's have a qualifying question and change the topic.
that was really shocking. We have to get going. Can we let you go?
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
Thanks for
Participating.
Thanks for letting us play.
All right, anytime.
All right.
Okay.
Watch the rest from home.
Bye.
Well, this is actually another health question. Let's do this one, or this could be national security, but factor by which the number of U.S. Army soldiers dismissed for being overweight has increased in the past 5 years. Factor. You could do it a percentage if you want, but the factor by which,
1.5 times.
okay, so that's 150%.
Yes.
I didn't get the question.
Factor by which the number of U.S. Army soldiers dismissed for being overweight has increased in the past 5 years.
Oh, 5%.
Are you talking about
That's bigger.
discharge or not letting them in?
Dismissed.
Like,
Either,
oops, you didn't make it, you're too.
Yeah, you're not,
I think it was higher than that.
didn't make it through boot
I
camp.
wish I had
Yeah,
said
I
higher.
wanna
Too
say
fat
a
for camp.
Factor of
It's only over 5 years.
2.5.
2.5, another point for Ann, it's actually a factor of 11. That's,
Wow, in 5 years?
that's 1,100%
That's incredible.
change
What
in,
happened? I guess the internet and all those little ridiculous devices that kids have really had an impact on their lifestyle.
okay, let's have a qualifying for the change of topic.
Bullies.
Okay, estimated value of goods and services distributed for free on the internet in 2011. Estimated value of goods and services distributed for free on the internet in 2011.
Worldwide?
Yes.
I'm going to say 100 million.
100 million?
I'm gonna say $1 billion.
$1 billion.
I'm going to say $160 million.
This is a point for Martha. It is $376 billion.
Wow.
Did I say million? I should have said.
Yeah. So that gives Martha the
billion.
choice. Let's see. Education,
Yeah, but
race, rape, or politics.
I'll pick one that's a little uncomfortable. I'll choose rape.
Rape. These questions are from a survey of high school students. The question is it right if a male holds a female down and physically forces her to have sex if he spent a lot of money on her? what percentage of high school males say it is all right to hold down a woman and physically force her to have sex if he has spent a lot of money on her?
34%.
What's that?
34%.
34%, you say?
I'd say 70%.
70%. And
35%.
35%, you said 34. Point for Ann, that is 39% of high school males say it is okay to
Isn't
hold
that
down a
shocking?
female and physically force her to have sex if he spent a lot of money on her. Okay, what percentage of high school females say it is all right for a man to hold them down and force them to have sex if he has spent a lot of money on her? Percentage of girls who say it is okay.
0.05%.
0.05%.
5%.
5%, she says.
6%.
6%, and you're too good at that. 12% of high school girls say
Oh,
it is all right
12%?
if you
Wow.
rape me as long as you spend a lot of money on me.
This is
Is it all right if a male holds a female
might
down
make
and
it
physically
strange.
forces her to have sex if he is so turned on he thinks he can't stop? What percentage of boys say it's all right then? Because I can't stop.
12%.
12%,
20%.
20%.
21%.
She watches Prices Right.
She's very good at this.
That is 36% of boys think that's okay. Ann gets
Oh
another
my
point.
God.
What percentage of girls say that it's okay for the boy to rape her if he thinks he can't stop? Percentage.
Stick with my
You go
20%.
first this time, Ann. You're being taking an unfair advantage.
7%.
7%, she says.
20%.
20%.
16%. Given
What'd you say?
the other answers, I'm going to go with 16%.
This is a point for Martha. 21% of girls say if you can't stop, oh well.
Oh, I'm getting wiped out.
Is it all right if a male
Sorry.
holds a female down and
know.
physically forces her to have sex if she has had sexual intercourse with other guys? What percentage of boys say it's okay to rape a girl if she's had sex with other men?
Those days are gone.
24.5%.
Says Mark.
30%.
Says
15%.
15%. Point for Martha. It is 39%, the same who think
I'll let
that
you
if they
guys
spend
catch
money
up.
on them.
Oh, that was good thinking, yeah. that
Okay,
makes
but
sense.
what percentage
From
of
the
girls
earlier answer.
think it's okay to be raped if the girl has had sex with guys? Doesn't even say with a lot of guys, just other guys. If you-
12%.
12%, she says.
20%.
20%, she says.
16%.
Point for Mark, it's 18% of girls think it is okay to rape a girl who has had sex with other guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought this, but by your other
scary.
answers,
I
I'm
know.
having to.
You're talking, well, you
Recalculate.
teach in high school. You should know what sort of animals they've been raising.
No, he doesn't.
Is it all right if a male holds a female down and physically forces her to have sex if she is stoned or drunk? What percentage of boys think it's okay to rape a drunken girl?
This has probably gone up in the last couple of years because of the way they're getting away with it. I'd say it's probably gone up to like 60%.
39%.
50%.
Market's appointed is 39%. Notice these are very consistent. It's probably the same 39% of boys that thinks it's always right to rape a girl. Okay,
These are just the various reasons
but
why,
the interesting
yeah.
things are here what the women think. or the
Stay
girls
away
think.
from those boys.
What percentage of girls think it's okay to rape a girl if she's drunk? Oh, do we have another phone call? Oh, the score. Well,
Remind
I thought you
callers.
were supposed to have it up on the screen. Okay, you guys could all see the score, right?
Yes.
Ann has 13 points, Martha has 6 points, Zaptowski has 9 points. Ann has a commanding lead. The question before us is what percentage of high school girls believe it is okay to rape a girl if she's drunk?
These are girls now.
26%. Oh, this is Ann's question. right? I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, 27%.
20%. I don't have a broken record.
24.5%.
No points for anyone. It is 18%.
Oh, I should have, that's the same as that other answer I gave.
No. Okay. What percentage of boys think it's okay to rape a girl if she's let him touch her above the waist? It is okay to rape a girl if she lets you touch her above the waist, according to what percentage of high school boys? Boys. What do the boys think?
Wow, these boys, 52%.
52%.
30%.
30%, she says.
53%.
Point for Martha, it's 39%. Notice it's always 39%.
Yeah.
These 39 points.
I should have come with my little,
It's always right
We
to
should
tablet
move-
of rights thing.
This one's
Yeah.
pretty horrifying,
Okay,
this
oh,
I
topic.
know, this is.
That was your topic.
I know, I
No,
should
no, what's
let it
interesting here,
go.
though, are what the girls answer. What percentage of girls say it's okay to rape a girl if she's let a boy touch her above the waist?
Is this hands?
Yeah, percent of girls who say it's all right.
39%.
18%.
30%.
18.
Mark's point, it's 28%.
Mark's point.
Do we need to go on with this? This is really getting depressing.
No, let's switch the, yeah, I
Can we
know.
switch topics?
Oh, boy, yeah.
Pretty
But
sad.
you
This
get,
is-
you
it's
get the
not
idea.
comical,
You
but
get the
it's so
idea
bizarre.
on that
I
one.
know.
Let's have a
It's
qualifying
just amazing.
Comical
question.
because it's so
Let's see,
reprehensible.
Jaw dropper.
Let's see.
Man.
Ignorance,
Ooh, we
barbarity
got a good one
is
here.
on the rise,
That's amazing.
apparently.
Yeah.
among the
At what age, this is a qualifying question, so you get to pick the next category. At what age can first cousins legally marry in the state of Utah? At what age is it legal for first cousins to marry in the state of Utah?
13.
16.
14.
She wins, it's 55. 55, the legal age to marry your first cousin in Utah.
Whoa,
I
it
suppose
must be,
that's
has something
after,
to do with the Book of Mormon, something specific.
Oh, that's after
That might be
you
something
have
specific.
your 20 wives.
Okay, you get to pick from the remaining, what do we have here? Have we done? We've got race, politics,
55.
education, and crime and
it's-
punishment.
Ooh, crime and punishment. Well, wait a minute.
It's
that's
my
not-
choice, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, repeat them again.
Crime and punishment, politics, or race?
Politics.
Politics, politics, politics. Politics is boring.
Yes, it is.
No, it's
I'm going to beat you.
Okay, politics. What did I do with my political questions? Let's see. Seem to have lost a page here. Okay, let's try this one. This is politics and race. Percentage of black Americans in the South who are prevented from voting because they are convicted of a felony.
Percentage.
Percentage of blacks?
Yeah.
Well, the
Percentage
state of
of blacks who are
Florida,
prevented from voting in the South because of felony conviction.
it's probably like 5 or 6 states. So I would say 90%.
a percentage of the total population, correct?
Percentage
Of the black.
of the black population.
I'm going to say 24%.
I'm going to say 25.
No points for anyone. It's 13%.
Wow.
Wow.
That must be Michigan, I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is boring. This is strange to
Michigan's
drug.
a
This is
rough
more
place
fun.
to be a
How
black
many
person.
boxes of Girl Scout cookies sold in 2 hours this February outside of San Francisco marijuana dispensary?
How many
Could you repeat
boxes?
the question?
Yes. How many boxes of Girl Scouts cookies sold in 2 hours this February outside of San Francisco marijuana dispensary?
How can you turn down Girl Scout cookies? I would
See,
s-
it's
600.
800. Way too high.
Way too high.
430.
No points for anyone. 117.
That was
The
kinda-
munchies were not that.
We're thrown off
uncontrollable.
completely.
Egad, this is taking longer than I thought. Yeah, so really on a serious note, the point we're trying to make here is that people are not getting the kind of in-depth news they need from most of their news sources, TV and radio, as soundbite, city celebrity news, the cutest cat on YouTube, and even people who are generally well-informed have trouble imagining
Well,
the horror.
I found this incredible. Yeah, I mean, it's what I really was thrown by was these attitudes on rape among the very young. It's bizarre. I would never have thought that this was the case.
Yeah.
It's so tolerated. How did that end up happening? I can't believe that.
Especially when no one can define a
that,
date.
You know,
I can't define a date.
15, 20, 30 years ago that it was like that. I don't think it could have been like that 15, 20, 30
You
years
have
ago.
to,
I think it could.
Really?
Yes, I do.
They
let a lot of people vote without checking their intelligence and if they're ignorant.
I think
So
that we've
there's
had
plenty
a
of
collapse in national intelligence generally. I think you see it especially among people who are in high school or in college even right now. There's a tremendous collapse in knowledge, understanding, notions of proportion or, all sorts of, it's apparent from this question. I can't believe that it was anywhere near
the
that.
military hierarchy apparently has long been protecting rapists.
Well, I guess I would somewhat believe that.
Oh yeah, for instance, when it's the CEO who's doing the raping, you have to report it to the CEO and have him report it to his superior. It's one of the things that came out of those congressional hearings. It's a date on which the Army suspended its chief sexual assault prosecutor for an alleged sexual assault.
What?
the date,
Yeah, the date.
it was
You could define
this
date or rape or date rape. February 21st, 2014,
I thought it was
the Army suspended its chief sexual assault prosecutor for an alleged sexual assault.
I remember
Now,
that.
talk about scandals, but where's the missing airplane? Something we can't, they give us news about something we can't do anything about. And it's not even
Right.
news because it's day after day. We have no new news to tell you. No
Well,
new news,
there's a lot
but they
happening.
don't ever tell you, or with
Well-
emphasis enough, all these things you can and must and should do something about.
I'm no longer buying the New York Times because it's kind of
Too
expensive.
expensive, yeah.
But and I don't watch local news. I don't have a TV in that way. But I listen to NPR, and I found NPR to be deteriorating. It's more and more product news, like Google Glass or Twitter. What's going on with Twitter? And the plane. What's with the plane?
The plane!
And
It's all fantasy
I
island.
mean, that's
these days.
interesting, but it's interesting for a moment. But they dwell on that and they don't dwell on emergencies. Like the environment is being destroyed to the point where glaciers in the Himalayas and the Hindu Kush, that supply
agree.
water to half the people on the planet, may go dry within the next less than 10 years during the summer. What's that going to mean for crops? What's that going to mean for drinking water? Our large countries, populous places are going to be going to war over water supplies. And what are we doing to stop that glacial melt? What are we doing to protect the climate? Oh, the plane, of course.
The plane.
Even the economy and the fact that we don't have an economy. We drone on and on about that, and no one talks about where the solutions are for actually having more employment in the United States. Instead, we just hear the constant drone about, more jobs are leaking away and those jobs aren't coming back. And so no one's proposing any solutions because no one's investing, anywhere other than where they can get the greatest return in the cheapest possible labor market. So that all should be news for us, but instead we got,
right.
inane stuff, even from what used to be a respected source that more and more people were
Well,
listening to.
I rely on PBS, and more I've noticed even they are
Product news.
chasing. They're chasing the same
The plan.
stories. They're chasing the same
Couple.
stories. They feel like that they have to compete, and instead, what they ought to be doing is continue to give us real information.
Station
mentioned-
break. This is CTV. This is the 16th of April, 2014. This is a live call-in show. The phone number is 459-4881. If you would put that up on the screen, John, we have time to take callers. We are asking you, what is the stupidest non-news you've seen or heard in the news lately? And what are some important news issues that have not been well covered? Enbridge spilled some tar sands into Lake Michigan as
Yep.
they did in the Kalamazoo River a few years ago. I believe BP had something to do with this. This might have been their sludge, but it was Enbridge's pipeline.
They called it
What do
oil
you know about
sands.
that? What do you know about that?
They called it oil sands.
Oil
Oil
sand, tar
sands.
But
sand.
tar
sludge.
sands
Yeah.
doesn't sound quite as nice as oil sands,
What is
Oh,
it?
oil sand sounds a little cleaner than tar sand.
doesn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. and
They first predicted that it would cost $5 billion to clean up the spill in Kalamazoo. It's actually cost over $765 billion
And who's
to,
paying
Really?
and
for it?
it's still dirty.
And who's paying for it?
Well, I'm not sure,
I-
the companies.
I can't
the-
imagine that Enbridge is paying 750
It'd be
billion.
like with the Exxon Valdez, what can be cleaned up is cleaned up at public expense. The company gets fined, but the company ends up never paying anything. To this day, Exxon has not paid a single dollar of the
Well-
indemnity that was placed on them for spilling and
I will say, though, that BP
I-
has been fined very significantly by the United States. It's a lot of it's still in court, but we're talking about scores of billions of dollars.
the fine is there. Obama was able to get some money up front, but I doubt they've gotten any more of that money because you know how corporations, you're going to put a fine on me, we'll just keep it in court until forever, and eventually they get out of it.
Well,
As Exxon did. They have not paid a penny for the cleanup.
this
That's
spill, though, at
amazing.
BP in Indiana on the Lake Michigan shore, it's that plant that you can see right from the highway.
Yeah.
They said it was only about 500 gallons of the tar sands oil that went in, but
Yeah.
it's probably an underestimate.
Yeah, it always is.
Always
And
is.
it wasn't on the news like hardly at all. So
I heard it on Michigan NPR, but perhaps if you were listening to national news, it wouldn't have made national news.
Not
I
important
suspect.
enough. Not important enough.
Well, it's important locally, but yeah, I mean, but that kind of thing, how many times do pollution incidents happen on a small scale? How many times it adds up? Certainly, it should be news.
it should be.
Let's talk about the Ebola outbreak in Africa, or about the viruses that are killing the piglets. I've heard a little bit about the piglet virus, but all I've heard about it is it's going to make the price of bacon go up. There's not much talk about
Well, I
how
find that-
commercial farming is a huge disease vector.
Yeah, I find that kind of scary simply because
Pigs and humans
pigs
are so
and humans
closely related.
tend to catch each other's diseases a lot for
yeah,
some
we
reason.
wallow in each other's
That's
filth.
where we get flu from. It's really from birds, and pigs are seem to be part of the process of getting it to humans.
Given a chance, I've heard pigs are as eager to eat humans as humans are to eat pigs.
I would imagine.
That's probably why we've shared so many diseases over the years.
We eat the same way.
The phone lines are open. This is April 16th.
To intelligent
You might be too tired from paying your
omnivores on the planet
taxes too long.
together.
Did I
Any-
hear that people are surviving the Ebola virus?
Yeah, that's weird enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's unusual.
Or perhaps it's mutating into a less destructive variety. I mean,
That's
wasn't this
bad
something that
news.
had
That's
just-
bad news because before it
Just
just kill
recently.
the whole village and burn out. If some people are surviving it, then they'll survive long enough to spread it to neighboring communities.
Well, and if that's the case, it could remutate into something very
Exactly.
lethal again, but more transmissible.
This is one of the first times that the outbreak has been in a metropolitan area, a city. And that city has an airport, and it's in the same, and that airport is fed into the biggest airport in West Africa. So, but before, it was contained because a lot of times it would show up in a small village. And so anybody that was affected there, they just quarantined them. And now it's hard to do that, and we're also living in a world where transportation, germs don't care about our countries and our boundaries. So
It's possible that in previous times, civilizations have, risen and fallen, risen to a certain point and fallen because of the large, populations in contact with one another through trade routes throughout what had been isolated areas in the world.
right.
It's a global economy, has certain problems that can be include this sort of thing.
Now, how many people are on the planet? Is it
7 billion.
7 billion?
Yeah, 7 billion.
And they predict that it's going to increase by another 2 billion in, I don't know how many, 20, 30 years or something, and but we have to produce twice as much food as we have for an increase of 2 billion people.
Why? Because everyone's so much more obese.
Because there are more affluent people who are drawing off of the total global food supply. So I think that's what they're calculating there.
Oh, yeah,
So-
let's talk about income inequality.
More for Chinese people, less for...
If you talk about
us.
obesity, you mentioned that, and I thought about how many times people that are low income, they go out and they eat fast food. And,
Oh, yeah.
And they eat fast food because they can't afford to buy the tomatoes, the pickles, the beef, the buns. So it's just, so they're not eating healthy. And plus, things that are healthy for you cost more.
Yeah, vegetables have gotten pretty expensive.
Sure, and so if you have a family to feed, are you going to go for the organic vegetables, or are you going to go for the vegetables that are cheaper? And very often, people make the choice on economics rather than health.
That's a good point. Estimated additional hours Americans would spend stoned annually if marijuana were legal in most states.
Per capita or total?
Total hours Americans would spend, additional hours Americans would spend stoned.
I'll pass on this one since I would be cheating.
From personal experience, so I say, how is that?
You don't have a
48
chance. You don't have a
hours.
chance of catching up. That is.
48 hours a week.
I would say
Oh boy.
3 billion additional hours total in the country.
You got a guess, Ann?
As 48 hours a week, what does that come to?
But we're talking about total hours.
Total
Multiplied by
hours.
Of all the
350 million
hippies.
people.
Oh my God.
300 million people, and
Well, let's say.
so I'm guessing.
Let's say only 30 or 50. Let's say 50 million people.
I'm saying
smoke pot. How much more pot would they smoke?
It
I'm
does-
gonna 3 billion. I said.
3 billion.
Additional
in-
hours.
It doesn't matter, it still needs to be legalized because
but-
then we can grow hemp and then we can have
That's all?
a thriving economy from growing hemp.
Yeah, and just think of
And
all
we
the
can
money
all
we'll
still all
save.
be stoned.
All right.
All the money we'll save not incarcerating people.
The point is for Mark, brings him to 11, and wins with 14 points. Martha has 6, and gets the right to solve all the world's problems. Boom. You can start with crime and punishment. You got 7
How
seconds
do you
to solve
solve
all the
crime
world's
and
problems.
And it's time
You're the
to-
winner. You get to solve all the problems.
Crime and punishment, okay.
You're the philosopher queen now.
All right, well, let's torture Dick Cheney.
Oh, that's not
Number
gonna
one,
solve
let's
anything.
let all the drug, the inmates in our prison system arrested for nonviolent drug offenses go. Okay, now what's else? Now?
That'll raise the price
Health.
of drugs, though.
But it would solve the crime problem.
It wouldn't solve it. It's a good one. Let's
Well,
see.
you have to just make those
What about the rape issues?
victimless crimes. Not
Consciousness
crimes,
raising
crimes.
groups.
Yes, it's like 4 years of sex education in high school.
Ooh, you get
Social
1
ed.
point for that.
Yeah.
Remember, you get extra points for being simplistic and cruel.
Oh, yeah.
Simplistic and
Castration,
cruel.
you could have got 3 points for that. Give her 1 point for the old counseling.
That gives her-
answer.
15 points then, correct?
What's that?
Yeah.
That has 15 points.
Yeah. So, well, Zap came in
What?
second, so why don't you solve all the national security problems?
Just decide that the U.S. doesn't need to spend enough on national security to make the whole rest of the world worry about national security, then that would solve a lot of our national security problems. And we could solve a lot of other social problems, and the deficit, of course, would vanish immediately. And everyone would breathe easier if the U.S. didn't spend as much on military as all the rest of the world combined.
All right, we're going to give Mark a point for that. That made way too much sense. What you need is
But it wasn't
simple,
cruel and
simple,
simplified
brutal
enough.
answers like if we
Nuke
just
'em.
subjected all the other countries,
If I had said
then
nuke 'em,
we'd never have any other
get
problems
rid
ever
of them
again.
all, then that would have gotten me 3 points.
If we just,
Well, you
if we
know-
just nuked all the ragheads, then
I think
everything
we're
would
in
be
a
fine, right?
we're in a bit of a quandary right now because we've stomped into countries like Afghanistan and Iraq, and so now we've got Putin coming into Crimea, and he's stomping into somebody's country, and I
He's
don't
saying
think
you
I
did
don't
it.
think we have a heck of a lot of credibility when it comes
That's
to
what he says.
yeah, considering what we've been doing.
Well, our credibility seems to simply be that he's not remembering that we're the more powerful country and the more powerful alliance, so kind of how dare he send Russia into its former sphere of influence.
Yeah, but what 5 out of 6 Americans who can't find it on the map are forgetting that Crimea, this isn't the first time Russia's fought over Crimea, or the percentage of people living in Crimea who are ethnically loyal Russians. I mean, it's, yeah, we've got a navy in the Black Sea, but,
Seems to me-
I've got
seems to
a
me
brutal,
militarily
simplistic
impotent.
solution for all the people who can't find Crimea on the map, but who want to fight there. We'll send them there, then they'll know where it is, and they can all reenact the charge of the Light Brigade on with real cannons. Nobody remembers
bet
the
they'd know
Crimean
where it
War,
was
right?
then.
Well, the Crimean War was a war fought by Britain and France and Turkey to destroy the Russian Navy, to stop the Russians from invading the Balkan Peninsula and attacking Constantinople, and destroying for decades, the possibility of having a naval base in the Crimea for the Russians, and ended the threat that they were going to be able to move their navy into the Mediterranean and out into the other oceans of the world. As it was, they were really blocked in that sea, and they were, most of the year or half the year they were blocked from getting out into the Baltic Sea as well.
And it was a disaster, of course.
But France and Britain succeeded in keeping them bottled up, and the Turkish Empire fell apart without the Russians being able to come in and take Constantinople over the next few decades. And Britain and France ended up with fantastic empires in the Third World that the Russians couldn't mess with because they were still stuck in the Black Sea.
So you're saying we should fight for the Crimea.
Because they were victorious in the Crimea. Even though it was really stupid, the war could have lasted a couple weeks. They could have won in a couple weeks, but they wanted to have a textbook siege of the city of Sevastopol, and so rather than just going in and just taking it and destroying the naval base and then declaring victory, instead they took 2.5 years to do that and killed about total of 1 million people, about 250,000 of their own people and about 750,000 Russians. So the Russians don't like the idea of people coming into the Crimea because it's happened before.
Well, one good thing did come out of it, Florence Nightingale. Martha, you're at third place. That means you have to solve the problem that no one really cares about, health and education.
a universal healthcare system.
Oh, you get 3
And-
points for simplicity.
Yeah, well, and
We have subtract 2
and
for
that
it
we
not being brutal
that we
enough.
spend twice as much on education.
Oh, that's your
That
answer. to
that no,
everything. Throw
actually,
money at
that
it.
that a higher education is free
For those who qualify, or for just any idiot
for
comes
those
in
who
off the street?
those who qualify.
So those who do well on race bias standardized
It
tests.
depends on what are the qualifiers.
So have we solved all the world's problems yet? If there are any problems left, we've got about 30 seconds to solve them in. So, problems. All right, we did it. Congratulations, panel. The world is now a better place to live because of you. Thank you for tuning in. The Society for Economic Equality and CTV present, what was this called again? Oh, that's news to you. Now what are you going to do about it? I'm Stink Fartin' Tail. With me tonight, my panel, Mark Z, Martha C,
Martha C.
and
Annie?
Ann Schweitzer. Sorry. Oh, boy. So are we done yet?
Congratulations.
Are we done?
You owe me a beer.
Okay, I think that there's a lot of technology that gets sequestered for economic reasons. The very large energy corporations come in and through congressional action or by buying up patents, they prevent us from dealing with our most crucial problem. which is
Yeah, you're
what's
right.
going on with the climate. And besides that,
You're right. He's right.
yeah, well, there's a problem. Another problem is that we need
Did you
tariffs.
get that solved?
We need tariffs, Stephen, because
Yeah,
if we
we
had
do.
tariffs, we could raise the price of imported goods, and we could rebuild American manufacturing and the American worker and the American middle class economy. Yes, tariffs are terrific. And, we haven't had that discussion